Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have another interesting episode for you guys. But before we get into it, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 50,000 subs by the end of the year. I don't know if it will be possible, but anyway, help us out. We'd really appreciate that. But anyway, let me get into this story here. So Kyrie Irving, without a doubt, has been one of the biggest sports stories this year. Right, you have a few of them, especially in the NBA. It's really been Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, really to start this year off, and now the reoccurring story has kind of been the struggles that the Lakers have been having. But with Kyrie, he made a lot of news because of his refusal to get vaccinated, and because of that decision, it created a tremendous amount of conversation, around him. Right, a lot of people had a lot of different things to say, and I think at one point in the season. At one point in the season, the Brooklyn Nets essentially told Kyrie Irving that, listen, it was either you're going to be you're going to be here 100% of the time, or you can't play. You cannot be a part-timer. And they told him that, listen, if you're not going to be able to get vaccinated, you can't play. Right? We're not going to go for this idea of you only being able to play road games. Now, some people that probably late to the party, why is Kyrie Irving only allowed to play road games? Because New York City has a mandate, which basically says, right, that he cannot play in New York unless he's fully vaccinated and home. So that's pretty much the case. And obviously, that's the reason why. So they said you can't be a part-timer. And that was the situation we heard from Kyrie Irving. He was gone. Then all of a sudden, the Brooklyn Nets decided that, they had a change of heart. And for some reason, they decided that, Kyrie Irving, go ahead and come back. And with that one decision by the Nets, I think a lot of people sort of felt, or some people sort of felt, that ultimately Kyrie Irving won the game of chicken, or the game of attrition, right? He ultimately won, and he was able to get what he wanted, which is be able to play road games, right? And some people looked at the Brooklyn Nets, and they kind of looked at that organization, and they said, listen, this organization seems to be, indecisive. First they put out a policy, then they changed the policy, only because I think they were dealing with some issues where players were playing too many minutes. I think Kevin Durant was playing too many minutes, so they changed their policy. So people like Stephen A. Smith were pretty outspoken about it. People like Mike Greenberg were like, this is unheard of. But then there were other people like Jalen Rose and others that said, listen, they can understand why the Nets did that. Although, yes, they are the number one seed, but maybe they want to make sure they should secure that. Maybe they want to ensure that they have some chemistry as they're going into the new year. So for whatever reason, Kyrie Irving is back, right? And that's what they said. He was allowed to, to play with the team. But immediately after that decision was made, he immediately went into COVID protocols. And these COVID protocols is something that a lot of players have been going in and out of in the NBA. Nothing to be alarmed by, but he went into COVID protocols. But less than 24 hours ago, news came out that he has officially been cleared to return to the game, return to playing basketball. And we got this news from CBS Sports. This is pretty much where we're getting this article from. So we want to read a little bit of what this report had to say. Then we're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts. So the article starts off with the headline: Nets Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving clear COVID-19 protocols. Steve Nash discusses star guards return timeline. The Brooklyn Nets will be getting some much-needed reinforcements as Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and LaMarcus Aldridge have been cleared from the league's health and safety protocols, the team announced on Tuesday. Durant has missed Brooklyn's last 3 games, including their matchup with the Clippers in LA on Monday night. After being placed in protocols on December 18th, the Nets host the Philadelphia 76ers on Thursday night and the Clippers on Saturday night. This announcement follows remarks from the Nets head coach, Steve Nash, who said there was a good chance of Durant being available for Thursday night's game against the Sixers. While Durant and Aldridge will likely return immediately to the Nets rotation, Irving's season debut could be a little bit further off. For starters, he's only allowed to play in road games as he's still unvaccinated and barred from playing games in New York City. So that puts his earliest possible return date on January 8th on the road against the Indiana Pacers. That's also assuming that he's in a good enough spot to play by then. Prior to Irving's being cleared for protocols, Nash said Irving's return hasn't been nailed down yet, as the point guard has been sidelined as Brooklyn decided at the start of the season that they didn't want him to be a part-time player. The Nets recently changed their minds in that decision, allowing him to suit up for just road games. But almost immediately after that decision was made, Irving landed in the protocol. It's hard to say, but I want to say probably somewhere between a week and 2 weeks, Nash said of Irving's return timeline. he's isolating, so that kind of puts things another layer to ramp up. It's not like he's been working out. I'd imagine it's going to be closer to 2 weeks once he comes out of the protocols. We'll see how it goes though, because we have to evaluate him from a physical and performance standpoint, and then a basketball standpoint as well. It looks as if Kyrie Irving is officially back, meaning he's out of these, he's out of the protocols, and now he's going to be back. So the question is, what does this mean for the Nets? I think the situation can only help the Nets, right? Now, there's some people out there that are quite skeptical of Kyrie Irving coming back, one of them being Nick Wright. Now, listen, I think that the reason that Nick Wright is skeptical of Kyrie Irving is because I think his comments are rooted in his deep fear that the Nets will ultimately block LeBron James from winning another NBA champ. Everything with Nick Wright has to somehow come back to LeBron. Everything. So I took his comments with a grain of salt. It always comes back to that with him. But I think it's going to help. Why? If you look at Kyrie Irving's stats, last time he was playing basketball, last time he was healthy, he averaged 27 points per game. He shot 50% from the field, 40% from the three, 92% from the free throw line. For God's sakes, the guy had a 50, 40, 90 season last time he was playing basketball, right? He got you 4.8 rebounds, 6 assists per game. He was only getting you 2 turnovers, but he was getting you 1.4 steals per game. You add a player like that to any roster in the entire NBA, you're going to get better. Period. End of story, right? And now that they're going to be adding him to the number 1 seed of Brooklyn Nets in the Eastern Conference, there's no way that they're not going to improve. Now, no matter if he's going to be a part-timer or full-timer, I think he will still help this team win games. Whether if it's just going to be road games, I think having that type of player is going to help them win games. Also, is going to help the team generate some money, right? There's an aspect a lot of people are overlooking. Kyrie Irving is back on the court, more jersey sales, more ticket sales. There's probably going to be a influx of people coming in to come see him, throw their support, because a lot of people supported Kyrie Irving, right, in his stand. So I'm sure all of these people that supported him are going to come out there and be cheering him on. So there's also going to be a monetary gain for the team, which I think they're fully aware of at this point. So Kyrie Irving is not just going to be helping them on the court, he's going to be helping them off the court. So to me, I think is a win-win in that particular scenario. And I think it's going to help them win games during the regular season. Now, the question is, how will it work in the playoffs, right? Will they still be adopting this type of format where he's only playing road games in the playoffs? I would assume if they are going to be doing that, I would also assume that he would help them win games on the road, right? I mean, listen, is it a perfect scenario? No. Have we ever seen anything like this before? No. But if you're telling me that, listen, you're going to have a player like this on your roster for every road game in the playoffs, it's going to help, right? You can talk about chemistry and all that different stuff. I think they're going to figure out a way to play with him and without him. Maybe they'll run different sets with him. I think it may be a little bit of an adjustment initially when players are trying to figure out, okay, so Kyrie's playing today, so I need to play a certain way today, and he's going to play tomorrow. I need to play a certain way. He's not going to play tomorrow. Then I need to play a certain way tomorrow. I think those things are going to be wrinkled out over time, right? They have enough runway ahead of them, at least over the next 3 months, or leading up to All-Star break and after to go into the playoffs for them to really figure things out. So ultimately, I think he'll help them immediately, and we'll have to wait and see how it works out in the playoffs. If this is what it's going to be, and if ultimately he will not be vaccinated, then we'll have to wait and see. Now, moving into the future after the season, that remains to be seen. But for now, this is the situation, and he's officially out of COVID protocols, and officially now Kyrie Irving can play, and it's only probably a matter of a week or so, and we're going to see him on the basketball court. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about the report? What do you think about some of the things that I said in this article? In this video, whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comments section below. Again, if you enjoy the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day, and catch you guys on the next episode.